Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Genuine Show. I'm Mike, and I'm going to be teaching you something today about bicycles. Now, in the last episode, I introduced y'all to the hybrid bicycle, and I'm going to continue talking about the hybrid. In later episodes, I'm going to teach you how to change tubes, how to change your chain, how to change pedals, grips, all that fun stuff. But for now, I just want to point out some details about hybrids to take into consideration when buying a bike. Sometimes when buying a bike for the first time, like I said in the last episode, a lot of our customers come in and they haven't ridden a bike in a long time. They haven't ridden a bike since they were a kid. They've never ridden a bike. They've ridden a bike, but only around the park or, short distances, but now they want to try to go further distances, or, they just want a quality bicycle to get them around the park, or to just, hop on and go out with a few friends. And that's why I always suggest the hybrid bicycle. It's that great entry-level cycle to just hop on and start exploring cycling, and they're so customizable. That's why I love them. You can add the back rack, put the lights on, put the wide tires on, put the skinny tires on, colorful everything, and just really explore what you like about cycling. And they're so durable too. These bikes, they'll take you, 1 mile, 2 miles, 5, 10, 50, even 100 miles. No joke, they won't have any problems. And the reason is because, if you pick a good hybrid bicycle from a good quality brand, they're gonna put some good, decent parts on it to begin with. And that's a big difference because some department store places, they sell cycles and they just kind of put really entry-level, kind of cheap parts on them. And you have issues within a month, within 6 months. Sometimes you get lucky and you don't have issues for a year or 2 or 5 even. But eventually you will. And that's why I like these cycles, because they just don't. These are 20-year cycles. That's what I like to call them. They should last 20 years easy with good maintenance. And, they'll last beyond that. But, 20 years is what you want to be investing in. And when you start spending more than a few $100s, that's important. You want something that's going to last, because these aren't just cycles, they're pieces of equipment. And that's kind of introductory into, some higher level cycling. There's road cycling, there's mountain biking, there's all sorts of cool stuff like that. Or there's just, basic riding, just going around the park, and the hybrid will do it all. Now, the first thing I want to talk about with hybrid bicycles are the wheels. The diameter of these rims are 700C, that's about 700 millimeters. Comparatively, that's like a mountain bike with those big old mountain bike tires, the big ones that you see, those are about 29 inches, and that's the diameter from end to end. And those are about the same size as a 700C wheel. The only difference is the tire on it's going to be, thinner than a big old mountain bike tire, but still thicker than a road bike tire. And this is super awesome information, because no matter what size hybrid you have, they're going to have the same size wheels. The next thing I'll point out is the gap, the width that they give you right here in the middle of your forks. It's nice and wide, so you can add a bigger tire, and you can really add some knobby, thick tires onto here and kind of make it mountain bike style. That's what I like about hybrids, because they can give you the option to go kind of mountain bikey, kind of road bikey for more speed. And that's the difference. A thinner tire is going to give you more speed, but you're going to feel the road a lot more with the skinnier tire. A thicker tire is for comfort. As you can tell, a lot of these hybrids, they don't have any shocks. So what compensates for comfort when you don't have shocks is going to have some nice, comfortable, big old tires. And hybrids just give you that option. Next thing I'll point out here is the brake system. If you see a big old disc right here on the wheel, that means that it's disc brake. Okay? Now, if you can see back here, that's that cable. That means that it's a mechanical disc brake. Now, if it was wired straight in, and it's kind of hard to, see if it's the first time you're seeing, you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. But, if you start to look, if you see a cable, that means it's mechanical. And I'll show you a hydraulic one here in a second. But yeah, if you see a big old disc right here, this is a disc brake. And what that means is that within this system right here, which is the brake caliper, there's some pads up in there. And when you hit the brake, those pads clamp up onto this disc. And it's a really nice way of braking. It's really safe. And most of the new bikes, I forget after which year, but most new bikes are getting put out with this disc brake system. Now, the old system is going to be like that rubber system that we all grew up with that clamps on right here and the pads wear down. Still a great system, but, most new bikes are getting this disc brake right here. Now, going on with some modifications that you can do with these hybrids, I always like to point out, because some folks will hop on a bike and, it's hard to tell. But, some keywords that might come to mind is, I feel a little clamped up, I feel a little squished in, or I feel like I'm a little too far extended. And the first thing that I point out is the headset. Now, this is the headset right here. Let me actually zoom in on it. All right, this is the headset right here. And the one thing I like to point out is that this stem right here will make a difference on how you feel when you're sitting on your bicycle. This stem, it can be a really long stem and really extend you out. It can be a really short stem and it can kind of squish you in. Now, there's also some adjustments to the seat that you can make, but this is the one thing I like to point out first. And as you can tell here, these are what's called spacers underneath. Might be kind of hard to see, but they're kind of 3 rings that push the whole height of the headset upwards. Okay, so just these 3 spacers alone means that you're this far higher on, where your hands sit, your hand positioning, you're that much higher, okay? So you could actually switch this positioning. You could put these spacers on top of this stem part right here, and all the parts are black too, so I know it's like hard to see, but I just want to kind of get it out in your mind. Some cool stuff you could do. Switch this stem, put it on the bottom, put the spacers on top. Now with the same bike, you've completely switched the positioning of where your hands go. Now to go one further, this stem, you see how it connects right here? It just connects, it just slides on right there, okay? So you could slide this off, flip it around, and now the angle of this stem will go down. Now say you wanted to gain more speed on your cycle and you were training for, a little thing that you were doing, maybe a 5-mile, bike ride that you've entered into, or 10-mile or 50-mile, and say you just wanted a little bit more speed because you've been riding a lot and you just want that edge. You could flip this down and that'll just put your whole body positioning down and allow you to get a little bit more speed. So that's really cool that this hybrid allows you to do that. And, more so, you could get another stem that is shorter, longer, adjustable. There's some stems that are really adjustable for some folks that have hip issues and they really don't want to be down at all. They want to be as high up as possible. We'll get the longest stem with an adjustable in the middle. That means that there's like a hinge in the middle and you can adjust it to pop all of this up as high up as you can. There's even an attachment that goes on top of this. It's like a stem extender, and then you could put this whole system on top of that attachment. And you might have to do some recabling. You always want to consider these cables. If they get stretched out too much, you might have to recable. But that's okay. If you need it for comfort, no problem with that. But yeah, this is the whole stem system right here. And then of course, it extends out to the bars. these bars here, and let's see if we could see them good on the camera. I got to interrupt once again to talk about these two young ladies that come and talk about financial education every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. here at Genuine Bike Shop Denver. They are our sponsors, and I really mean that. They support us. They support me to be able to do this video and give us the opportunity to have the mechanics working and free me up to be able to make these videos and make this content for y'all. And the way they did it was by helping me with the financial aid, the financial education here in Genuine Bike Shop Denver. I'm the owner here, and it's hard. It's hard to know these things. They don't teach us these things in school, how to budget, how to save money, where to invest your money, where to put your money. These girls, they're licensed, they're educated, and they're here to help. So they're here for the community, and that's why I let them every Wednesday at 6 p.m. come here and teach a class about financial education. So come on down. It's never too late. The earlier the better. Start, knowing where to put your money, knowing where it grows, knowing these things that are, second nature to folks who grew up in, wealthier circumstances, but not to a lot of us. So they support us in that way, and they have freed us up with this time to make these videos. So please support them. Come on down. Financial education right here at Genuine Bike Shop Denver. Reach out to us. Call the shop. We'll connect you with them. Thank you. These bars here, if you can see, there's a little divot in here that pops up your hand positioning by that much. It's not much, but all of it adds up, and there's different styles of bars. There's bars that pop up here, and it's a lot. There's a lot of customizations, even just in the stem that I'm talking about right here. None of that's important when starting out and getting a cycle. Honestly, the first thing that's important is just getting a bike and just getting on it. And over time, instinctually, it'll just happen. You're going to start considering these little things, and you'll start, being able to point them out a little easier. And they might not even be annoying, but you'll be able to consider it. Say you've been riding this bike for a couple years, and then that's when the time comes up that you maybe enter into a little ride that you want to do, or you want to push yourself, you want to challenge yourself, you want to make it from Denver to Boulder, which is just, 15 miles, but it's a big feat, it's a lot of elevation gain. And now you look down at your bike with that 2 years or 1 year of experience of riding a bike, and you can kind of see the parts a little easier. Like, oh, wow, if I just turn the stem upside down, if I just, position, and maybe you can't do it yourself, but you can bring it back to the shop, bring it back to us, and let us know, hey, Mike, I want to, feel a little more down. I want to, and you could tell us in any way, shape, and form, and we'll help you get to that place. Click shifters. So these are click shifters on this bike. Click just means that there's a button. You just hit the button, it clicks, and it shifts your gears. Back in the day, you might remember we had the grip shifters, and those were just grips on either end, and these are easier. These are rapid fire click shifting. That just means when you click them, they will shift, or they should shift unless it needs some adjustment. And these are cool. Most new bikes, they're going to have your click shifters. They're a lot easier, trust me. I know it might look a little complicated at first. It's real easy. The first thing I suggest about click shifters is forget about the left side completely. There's usually 3 gears on the left side. Really just you want it somewhere in the middle. Put it on number 2. Put it on one of them. And really focus on the right side first. The right side is going to control all of your back shifting, your micro shifting. And, it's about 7. This one has 9 gears. And it's just 9 gears that you have that will change the tension of your pedaling. If you go all the way to number 1, it's going to be easier to pedal. If you go all the way to number, the last one, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's going to be harder to pedal, more tension. But say you're going downhill, you want that tension, So it gives you the range, the whole range. Say you're going uphill, you want to put it all the way in number 1, so it's real easy. Say you're going up a real big hill, that's where these left gears come into play. On the left side, you have, these are, the big gears. On the left side, you do have a gear that will make it super easy to go up a huge hill. And then you'll have all the gears on the right side as a micro shifting to give you more tension, less tension to get up that huge hill. But say you're going on flatland, the left side has that mid-range gear so that you can just pedal and have all the micro shifting options in the back, remember, to give you more tension and less tension. Then there might be a third gear, and that's an even bigger gear in the front, and that's going to give you a lot more tension plus all the micro shifting in the back. So imagine if you put it on the top gear plus the hardest tension on the back. Now, if you're going down a huge hill and you have all that tension, you can really build up a lot of momentum to go down a hill really, really fast. That's the way I like to explain it. So find your mid-range on the left side and kind of just forget about it, because you're not going to hop on a bike for the first few times and really start clicking in to all those gears. Most of the time you're going to hop on and just go to a park or something, maybe do a little ride, 1 mile, 2 miles. And, unless you live in an area like Seattle or somewhere where there's a bunch of hills, you're not going to have to worry about that too soon. Just worry about the right side, get used to it. And, don't even worry about which does which button does which. Just click through them. You'll figure it out. It's better to find out instinctually. Or you could hop on YouTube and, look up some specific detailing about click shifting. And I will have an episode about that at some point as well.
I gotta interrupt this video to tell you guys about one of our sponsors. We are sponsored by Biycles for Children. Folks, you got that extra bicycle in your garage, donate it. You got that extra cash, donate it to the foundation. What we do is we give bicycles away to kids for free, absolutely for free of charge. Not only that, we get adult bikes donated, and we give those bikes away for free as well at our events. And we give them away to adults, young kids in their 20s. Doesn't matter if you're not technically a kid. We give away bicycles to the community. We work with a bike project, Biycles for Children, right here out of Genuine Bike Shop, Denver. Donate that extra bike. There's a kid that needs it. No matter how small, no matter how beat up, we'll fix it up, okay? So from Biycles for Children, a bike project, we thank you, all right? And support this whole project.
So here we have the hydraulic brake system, and I'll point out right here, this is the caliper. Looks a little different than the last caliper that we looked at. The caliper is just this part right here that has a couple of pads in it that will clamp up onto this disc. And the biggest difference you'll see here is that there's no cable, okay? So this is not a mechanical disc brake like the last one that we looked at. As I said, it's going to have a hose that goes straight into the caliper system, and this hose will go all the way up to the brake. Now, what's cool about this hose, what you don't see on the inside, is there is mineral oil up inside of there. It's a whole system of pressure, and it has mineral oil up inside. Now, up top here, you'll see where it ends. Well, it actually ends on this side here, but you'll see where it ends up into the brake lever. And this right here, this will pop open and you can actually change the oil out, but it actually takes some syringes that you have to hook up from the lever down to the caliper and change that oil out. So it's a pretty advanced system. And this is what most new bikes are coming out with, is this system. Which is pretty cool. It's a little harder to change for, the common rider to be able to service these. True, you kind of have to bring it into us. But here's the good news. You don't have to do really any service for like a couple years. It depends on how much you ride. But for a common rider, for a person who doesn't ride that much, you don't have to mess with these for like probably 2, 3, 4 seasons, depending on how much you ride. But say you did start to get to ride a lot, you might have to bring it into the shop maybe once every 2 seasons, maybe once a year. But I mean, if you're riding that much to once a year, you might want to start to learn how to do it yourself. But really all that to say is that this brake system takes a lot of the stress away from the rider. Back in the day, we used to have those rubber pads that would grip onto the rim. And those were easier for the common rider to change out themselves. But, those, if you were riding a lot, you'd probably have to change them out definitely once a season, maybe twice a season, maybe up to 3. So that was a little more work on the rider. And these, in my opinion, they're less work. They're safer to have on your bike, and they feel so good. Once you ride a bike that has hydraulic disc brakes, you kind of don't want to go back. It just feels amazing. But here, while we got this bike up, let me show you this cool stem right here. So this actually is an adjustable headset right here. You can see this is where you can make your little adjustment. You loosen this up right here, and then you can change the angle on this. This bike was made for ultimate comfort. I showed this on the last episode. This is the Verve 2. I mean, yeah, this bike was everything they thought was about comfort. You could even throw some huge tires up in there. Look how much room you have. I mean, you could throw some mountain bike sized tires up in here and have what I like to call it as a comfort mountain bike. Because, most mountain bikes, they're comfortable. That's their intention, because you're going on, some rocky hills, you're going up hills, down hills. They want you to be comfortable, but they also have those big, heavy shocks on them. And some of them, a hardtail mountain bike, it'll only have that shock in the front, help you over bumps and whatnot. But you can see this bike, no shocks. Imagine if we put some big old tires in here. I mean, you'd be rolling around with a lightweight bike, lighter than a mountain bike, but still really lightweight. If you could pick this up, it's not too heavy. Especially even if we put some big old tires on there, it would still be, relatively lightweight. And you would have a big old comfort bicycle. And you could still go off of curves. You won't have a shock, but you could pretty much do anything. And I think that's where we will wrap it up today. Some cool click shifters on here. Yeah, we'll wrap it up today, and we'll talk about some more stuff next time. Well, that was episode 2 of The Genuine Show. Thank you so much for joining. Please reach out to our sponsors. Again, we got Alma and Brenda coming down teaching financial education. We got Bicycles for Children. Please donate your old bikes that are just sitting in the garage. Come down, drop them off. We'll get them to some kiddos. Come visit anytime. Here we are at the end of the season. Right now it's November of 2025, but next season we're all about community, weekly rides, weekly trainings, personal classes. We want to get you down here. We want to get you on a bike. We want to get you part of the community. We're going to have so many cool things going on. Meetings in the park to give away free bikes, part of Bicycles for Children, financial education meetings here every Wednesday at 6 p.m., even through the winter, starting now. Come on down and just come down and play some Nintendo. We're always just hanging out, okay? Till next time, peace.